Hello.
Hey guys. I always love this part when you sit around and look at each other and we look at you.
If no one else wants to
No
go,
questions,
I'll ask.
okay.
You all collectively have, what, about 6 decades experience in state government. Have you, there was the column in the Boston Globe on Friday by Yvonne Abraham, talked about how sexual harassment is a real big problem in this building. Have you seen evidence of that in your time in state government?
We have a zero tolerance policy in the Senate. We prevent by first creating a culture in which people understand that if there's a problem, they should come forward. We have a clear protocol and process that gets used in the Senate. We have a clear written policy, which when I first took over 3 years ago, we brought in a professional to look at it and make sure it was up to date and state-of-the-art policy, and we have stuck to it and adhered to it. We had a meeting this morning. 6 of the women senators met with our senior team, all of whom are also women, and they went over our policy, over the procedures, et cetera, and identified a couple more things that we could do to make things even better around training of interns. And so our policy is working quite well, but we try to be vigilant, and if we see opportunities to improve, we will do that.
Is it working 100%?
As far as we know, we've had 2 reports in 3 years, and both of those reports were handled according to the policy, and both worked out to the satisfaction of the person who had been accosted.
Was this news to you, Mr. Speaker and Mr. President?
Well, first of all, in terms of the article itself, I'm not sure exactly the time frame of the issues when they may have occurred or whatnot, but even beyond that, the fact that that they did occur, or as stated by some of the women, again, as I stated before, I was infuriated and appalled to think that that could have been going on, whether it's here in the State House or somewhere in the building. I understand. Hey, look at it's not only a State House issue. I'm hearing stories in other states and nationally as well, and that's why very simply on Friday the House decided to take decisive action on this issue by the issuance of that order, again to reaffirm that as was just stated by the Senate President, that there is zero tolerance, and anyone who brings this to our attention, we're going to make sure that appropriate action is taken. When you look at as I stated before, number one, in and of itself, the harassment infuriated me, but also what I want to make sure is that the people, the victims, really get a sense of that they're not going to feel any fear of bringing their story to the appropriate authorities. That's the thing that concerned me, and that's one of the major reasons I think that we as a House, want to act not only upon this, but any type of further details that people want to bring forward.
Are House employees given training on how to avoid and report incidents of sexual harassment?
We have a book of setting forth. The House, I don't want to say it's a rules book, it's the manual, I guess you'd call it, wherein it states that those who are the subject of sexual harassment, that they have a person that they can talk to.
But no special session or training?
I think that will probably be one of the issues that we'll be taking a look at in terms of where we go from here, in terms of what further procedures may be acted upon.
The Senate President just said that they've had 2 complaints in 3 years in the Senate. The Senate President just said that in your 9 years in the Speaker's office, have you dealt or have complaints risen up to your office that you've had to handle?
I have had complaints. We've handled them immediately, and gave them their proper attention.
There's been a suggestion that there should be an anonymous survey just to determine how widespread the problem is. Is that something you'd support?
I'm not sure about an anonymous survey, except to state again, I think that's the major purpose in terms of what We intend to do, again, as a House, to do a real thorough review of everything and anything. And I'm hopeful that everyone, or anyone, I should say, who has an idea in terms of how we can do something better, that they'll come forward and provide us with that information.
Governor, are you satisfied with the existing overall state policy, or do you think it needs to be?
Well, obviously, I was as appalled as everyone else was by the story, and I actually sent out an email to everybody in the executive branch today that basically said, first of all, there's a zero tolerance policy. Let me repeat, zero tolerance policy with respect to this. Secondly, I just reminded people that there are a series of online training and education modules that people are required to take if they work in the executive branch and to update on a regular basis. And they're good. I've taken them myself. And then finally said, if anybody has an issue, they should raise it with their supervisor. They can raise it with HRD, the human resource folks, and we also put a number in there that people can call if they want to follow up on that. But we're certainly going to take a look at all of our policies and make sure that we believe they're consistent with any concerns anybody has on this issue. Because again, you can't have this ever. And especially can't have people feeling like they can't bring their issues forward.
The complaints that have been brought forward, have these been complaints against lawmakers or staff or people outside the building?
Obviously, any type of actions like that, I really can't speak about, and so, some of our rules and whatnot. The only thing, again, that I can say is that any action or any complaint that has been brought to our attention, we've handled as quickly as possible, obviously with the victim as mine, and I think that, we got the result that we were looking for.
Do you think it's a particular problem in the State House as compared to other workplaces?
I'm just imagining, and I don't have any specific figures on this. But first of all, I think it goes far beyond, Massachusetts, and obviously, there was another state. I forget where it was. But no, I think it's private sector as well, and companies as well. I think that it exists there.
If you just look at how much hashtag there was on Me Too and how many stories have come out over the course of the past 10 days or so, it's very clear that people in positions of power have, on occasion, abused that position of power in really disgraceful and disturbing ways. And I think it's really important for us as an administration to say we have no tolerance for this stuff, to repeat we have no tolerance for stuff, to make sure that people understand there are places they can go to access information on this and to know that there are people they can talk to if they have an issue they need to have addressed, and that it will be dealt with in the most appropriate and professional way possible. But it's 2000, there's no room for this anywhere, and I would hope one of the things that comes from this is a reaffirmation of that position among all of us who are in leadership positions anywhere in government here in the Commonwealth, and that we take seriously the role and responsibility we have to ensure that our professional work environments are as they should be, and that people should never have to worry about this sort of thing, and if something does happen, God forbid, that they know there are places they can go to get it addressed and dealt with. I mean, the state's policies on this are good, and they're solid, and if people pursue them, there are all sorts of ways the state can participate in making sure that somebody's concerns get dealt with and taken care of in the most appropriate and professional way possible. But they have to feel comfortable that it's okay to bring it up and to speak to it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Governor,
guys.
are you able to talk on the weather at all, how it affected the state?
Yeah.